If the Eagles played the Steelers at the Super Bowl, who would I root for? Yeah, the Eagles. Yeah, yeah.
What lessons, what secrets have you learned about the Kansas City Chiefs on tape this week that you want to share with me right now?
Yeah, really good football team. Well coached with great players, both at every level on the defense, with every level on the offense. No surprise that they're here.
So yes on the must-win game.
Yeah.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you. Obviously, there was somebody asked me a question from Germany a couple weeks ago, and I kind of felt his passion. He talked a little bit about that, and so yes, we are, and I'm really excited that the NFL is going to be playing a game there in the near future, and I just think it's awesome that it's the sport is growing, and really excited that it's growing in the country of Germany. No matter what level of football you're at, whether it's Pee Wee football, high school football, college football, professional football, you win games with the offense and defensive line. And that's no different here. And so we got a great offensive line, with Jason Kelsey, led by Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Isaac, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, great backups, great unbelievable offensive line coach with Jeff Stoutland. And so, and that's where you win games, and that's where we've won games this year. So an unbelievable offensive line with some great leaders and great players. I'm sorry? Oh, script. Yeah, I don't know if they told me about that. Yeah, we're going to go out there and work our butts off to try to win this game. Thanks. Yeah, I think both professionally and personally, it was a big time in my career. Obviously, it was my first stint in the NFL was Kansas City. Had a lot of good experiences there. Met my wife there. We have 3 kids now. And so, when we go home to her family's house, they're in Springfield, Missouri. So I get back to Missouri every once in a while. So both and I just learned so many things from good coaches. We were able to win the division in 2010. Todd Haley was the head coach. Romeo Crennel was the head coach. And so learned a lot of football there that helped me develop as a coach. And then obviously the best thing happened there to me was meet my wife and then start my family. I think it was around the Senior Bowl. So, because it was a little different then than it is now. It feels like some jobs are getting filled a little bit later. I remember Coach Reed got hired pretty early, and so I was able to get a job around the Senior Bowl, which happened this week with San Diego Chargers. So, but yeah, great times in Kansas City. Taught me a lot about football and life. Is there anything? I'm sorry. We work on blocking out the noise every week. All right, and there's football, National Football League. There's a lot of ups and downs in the season, and you really, if you allow yourself to, you can be caught in the roller coaster of the season. Right. I think after we lost to New Orleans, we were the worst team ever. We were never going to win a game again. After we started 8-0, watch out Miami Dolphins 1972. So, you try not to let yourself get wrapped up in the ups and downs of the season, and that's what you do. You fight that all the time because you fight to stay in a routine and do the same things over and over and over again. So it's the same message here because there's always going to be big games. I know we're in the Super Bowl. I understand that, but there's a game where one player is going to play against a former teammate of his or a former team or a hometown. Like, there's always going to be a storyline like that. So it's just staying true to your process, sticking to your process, and going out and trying to accomplish the goal of winning the football game. obviously we weren't good enough in Kansas City when we left there, and that's why Coach Reed came in. He's done a phenomenal job. One of the best coaches of all times. And what I always remember is that, obviously when you're getting let go at a place, you're down, right? I got to move my future wife to San Diego. I guess there's worse places you could go, right? But you're down in that moment, right? And I just remember him, bringing me in, telling me that, his assistant head coach was the wide receiver coach, and so that he had a guy. But I remember him lifting me up in that moment, telling me here good things, knowing I'd get back on my feet. Just he gave me strength when I was down, and I always admired that. And even though I never got a chance to work with Coach Reed, like him, how he kind of took us, the guys that were there that he was letting go. He brought us in and and told us, and he kind of gave me a blueprint for what I had to do when I became the head football coach for the Eagles. Like, so even though I didn't ever work with him, I felt like I gained a valuable lesson from him to be able to reach out and talk to the guys. That I wasn't able to meet with all the guys when they did, but I just always remember thinking about Coach Reed in that moment. Because he gave me a good blueprint of what to do when you have to do the tough parts of this job in that particular one.
You made quite a name for yourself in your short stint with the Eagles. What would you say to Arizona Cardinal fans, for example, about hiring a new head coach that might have a huge household name, and that it doesn't always have to be a household name to find success, such as yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me to give you the Arizona Cardinal fans advice about that?
Just in a sense, just to say, your perspective on that, and it doesn't have to be a huge household name.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's never to be said. I think what you can look at with me, I guess I can only give you my experience. I guess it would be safe to say my opening press conference wasn't flattering to who I am as a person or as a coach. But try not to judge it early on that. And the main goal is can that new coach lead men and help you win football games at the end of the day. So that's our job, and give it some time. And if the guy has a great press conference, he has a great press conference. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's all about winning and losing games. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, I remember, I can see your face. Yeah. I watch the evening news sometimes. Yeah. How about in the morning? Usually I'm in there working, but sometimes it's on in the background. Yeah, you're the morning guy, right? Yeah.
And how do you explain to other NFL coaches what it's like to coach in Philadelphia?
Every market's different, but what I think when you do talk to other coaches, if they do ask me about that, it's the passion of the fans, right? And so it's just what an unbelievable sports town. I get an opportunity to coach in the best sports town in America, and that's pretty special because of how much it means to our fans. And so I think, have I had a lot of conversations about that with coaches? No, but looking back at my time at other places, whether it be Indianapolis or San Diego or Kansas City, I always envied, how unbelievable the atmosphere was at the Link, and how much football meant to Eastern Pennsylvania and North and South Jersey.
Is that
And
ever unsettling?
no, I just always appreciate it. I think I've shared this story before, that it was our first, maybe it was our second preseason game, and everybody had been talking like, hey, this was last year, right? It's going to be a rebuilding year. It's going to be a rebuilding year. It's going to take some time, this and that. And we kind of got beat up our second preseason game there, and it was halftime, and they were booing us. And I remember being like, I get into my car, my wife and I are in the car, and I'm like, we're in the second preseason game. They're booing us. She goes, well, what'd you give them to cheer about? So, and so I appreciate that about the fans. Hey, no doubt. We got great fans. Oh, nice shirt. Yeah, nice shirt. It's a great shirt. Yeah, it's a great shirt. They did a good job.
You're a D3 guy from Mount Union. What's it mean for that football community to be representing that game?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You're a D3 guy from Mount Union. What's it mean to represent that community here this year?
obviously very proud of where I've come from. Not only my hometown but our college too. We have great football coaches all over the place from Mount Union. The head football coach at Iowa State, I played with at Mount Union. The head football coach at Toledo, I played with at Mount Union. So we were all kind of brought up in the business by Larry Karras, our head football coach. So I'm glad to be honoring him here, because of how much he taught me about the game. And I guess you don't really think about that, when you're at Mount Union, but it's not a lot of Division III guys from Mount Union are in the NFL, so I'm obviously honored. What's up, Elliot? Yeah, obviously very happy for Jalen. He's worked really hard. I'm happy for all our guys, but particularly Jalen of how hard he's worked to get here. He's a relentless worker. You know him. You're around him all the time. You've heard me say this plenty of times of how relentless of a worker he is. People ask me at times, what's Jalen Hurts' ceiling going to be? And I don't think we all know, because he has all the qualities to reach his ceiling. God willing, he has all the qualities to reach his ceiling. He's tough. He's got a great work ethic. He's got great leadership skills. He loves football. And so, he's going to just keep elevating. And so really pleased for him because, he earned this. He's deserved this, and his teammates have helped him get to this spot. And so really just happy for Jalen, his family, and everything that he's done, obviously, for this city and this football team. We're grateful for how he's played all year and the leader that he's been all year. I'm sorry, say that one more time. Yeah, Philly, Philly is a blue-collar city. It's a great city. It's a good city to raise my family in. Just enjoying our time there, and we just try to represent as a football team what our city stands for. And so it's good to be able to represent the city of Philadelphia here this week in Phoenix. Well, first of all, Rocky's my favorite movie. All the Rocky 3, Rocky 4, probably my favorite movies of all time. So, what a great movie with a lot of good life lessons. I actually just watched it with my son before his basketball game. He's 7 years old, and I watched it with him before his basketball game. And I asked him what he learned after. He's like, never give up, train hard for everything you got, everything like that. And so I was glad that he was able to take some of those things. Obviously, Rocky, Philadelphia, everything. I don't know. I'm probably the one that thinks Rocky's the most real character of anybody on our team because it meant so much to me growing up. And so I guess we don't. But our guys, work hard for everything that they have, just kind of those things. And, our guys have worked really hard to be in this position. I'm sorry, say that one more time. There's no doubt. We got great players on this team, great leaders that love football, work their butts off to reach their potential. And, but Rocky was a little undersized, right? We going in a fight against Drago. He was a little bit undersized. Kleber Lang was a little bit stronger than him. We got some big dudes on this football team, so maybe not the same in stature. But, we got some guys that work really hard and are tough and don't never give up.
Coach, last year, Evan McPherson sat out of the locker room at halftime to watch the halftime show. Have you had conversations with the team about halftime protocol, and would you let anyone
No.
watch the show?
No. Yeah, they know what the standard is, and with everything, we try to paint a clear picture with everything like that. I don't anticipate any of our guys staying out to see Rihanna, even though it'd probably be a really good show. Same. No, they wouldn't not be allowed to. I'm sorry. You know, your whole life you're training to be a football coach, and you know, I had one press conference a week in Indianapolis as a coordinator, and so that's not I wasn't hired to wow the media or do anything like that. I was hired to run to be in charge of the football team, be the head coach of the football team, and win football games ultimately. And so, you know, again, you train all your life to be a football coach, and then you go into that moment. And so I guess I wasn't good enough in the moment. No excuses will be made. I wasn't good enough in the moment. I wasn't, and but you know what? I feel like I've gotten better, right? Would you say? I do. A lot of Eagles fans, they don't. I do not. Well, I got to go with Jason, right? Obviously, both really great players, but my vote's with Jason. My daughter's 5. Great guys on this football team. I'd be honored if she dated any of them when she grows up. I'd be excited about that when she grows up. Yeah. Thanks. Well, I mean, he's let you're not. I don't work there anymore, right? Now all of a sudden you're uproot, and you're gonna have to go find a new job. So that's all I meant by that. Like you're down because you lost your job, and yeah, that was it. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of contacts, to be quite honest with you, and those things go through your mind. You try to take it one day at a time, and you take advantage of the opportunities you get. I just so happened to have an interview with Mike McCoy in San Diego, and he was gracious enough to give me a job, and hopefully I repaid him by doing a good job for him. But yeah, those things obviously go through your mind if you're going to continue to work in the NFL or go to college, or because there's uncertainty in that. I think you feed off each other, right? I think our team has a lot of confidence, and I feed off that, and I'm confident because we got really good players, right? And they execute really well at a very high level. So, I always, before we start any off season, I'll gather the coaches. In our 2 off seasons, I'll gather coaches and I'll talk to them. I'm like, hey guys, you want to know the secret to really good coaching? Get good players. And put them in good positions to make plays and help them get better fundamentally so they can reach a higher ceiling. So you're confident because of the men that you're surrounded with. There's no doubt about that. And so we got really good players, and you can make decisions to go for it on 4th down, or go for it in the red zone, or throw the ball up. Call a play to throw the ball up to AJ or Devontae or Dallas, right? Because you trust them. And that's what breeds confidence. Confidence is bred from the work that you put in all throughout the week, all throughout the year, the players and the coaches that you have in the building. So that's where that comes from.
Coach, for you, what is the official Philly anthem? We heard now we want to rock. We heard even though what we did was wrong. For you, what's the Eagles Philly anthem?
For me. So this is just for me. I guess go back to the Rocky question. I like all the Rocky soundtracks and all the songs there. So. The Fly Eagles Fly thing's pretty awesome too. I mean, I got a 2-year-old who before he just turned 3, and before he really even could talk, he still knew that song, right? You're gonna have to ask them. I think one game Meek Mill came out with us, the other one Lil Uzi, and they both it was pretty hype both games them coming out. So you'll have to take a poll with them. I like both songs. I don't want to pick between the two. Am I going to be climbing the damn poles? Absolutely, probably not. Probably not. I would not be climbing the poles. If we win, I'm not going to be climbing the poles. I'll tell you that. Thanks.
Your time in Kansas City. Do you have any favorite haunts or any favorite things to do when you're living in KC?
So I was dating my wife when I was there. My parents, I got a great support staff with my parents. They probably came to about 3 or 4 games a year from Jamestown, New York. And every time they came, my dad wanted to go to Jack Stack's barbecue, and which happened to be my favorite barbecue. In fact, it is the barbecue that I get my parents for every Christmas. So that I'll still send them that. And then I said that about my wife because, I'd obviously be working through it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and about 2 times every week, my wife would say to me, "Your parents want to take me to Jack Stack's again." So Jack Stack's barbecue was a good spot for me. That's for everybody, for you guys to decide. I just see he'd be a great role model for people to look up to because of the way he works, how much football means to him, how hard he works, how tough he is, all those different things. So if he is, that'd be, what I think was special about this week is that the guys that played the hardest position in all of sports at the highest level this year are meeting in the Super Bowl on Sunday, which I think is pretty special. Everybody talks about connecting and being close, but I know this team is. They've worked hard at it. There's a picture in my office there's a couple pictures in my office that I have of our team. And one of them is, in our lowest moment last year, we probably played one of our worst games last year at New York against the Giants. Jalen didn't play a very good game. We didn't coach a very good game. We just didn't play a very good game until defense played pretty solid, but we just didn't play great as a whole. And we have an incomplete pass on 4th and 10 at the end of the game, and it's incomplete. And Jalen's got his hands on his knees, and Jordan Mailata's got his hand on his shoulder. And that picture means a lot to me, and that's why it's in my office, because our greatest motivation is to play for each other. Now, the other picture that I have in that office is of Miles wearing the DeMar shirt and Fletcher Cox having his arm around him before we went out to pregame or to the game. And you could see the emotion on both their faces, but what you saw was teammates being there for each other in both moments through different things, right? And that's what the best – I'm 41 years old and I'm still part of a team. That's pretty special. And that's the best part about sports is that, these guys go through the ups and downs of the season. They go through the ups and downs in life. And they got 52 other brothers, and it's even more than that are there for them. And the guys work hard to connect. And like I said, our greatest motivation is to not let each other down. And that's not just in the football field. That's everywhere. And so that was a hard time for all of us that are involved in this sport. Obviously, a very hard time for the players at Buffalo and DeMar himself, but you're happy that you got people to help you get through it, and that was on display in the Philadelphia Eagles building, through that hard time. I'm sorry, say that one more time. Yeah, Hassan puts the work in every single day, and obviously he's seen that success this year. He's seen the success the last 3 years, throughout his career because of how hard he works. He's dedicated to his craft, to getting better as a pass rusher, as a defensive end, and he can just do many different things. And he really works. He really works hard at practice. He works hard in the weight room. He works hard in the meeting room. He works hard in walkthrough. And it's rewarded him and us as a football team this year greatly. No. I'll they got good food at the hotel. I'll just stay there and eat there. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's, every year every team is going to be special and different in its own way. This team is obviously had a lot of success, and when you're connected to each other like we are, it's special. The handshakes after, or the handshakes, the high fives, and all that different stuff after a touchdown mean a little bit more. The celebrations in the locker room mean a little bit more. So it's a special group because we got a special group of men that are here that again don't want to let each other down. Again, it's the guys, it's the players, right? We got some of the guys that are, the best players in the world at their position. I think that's special. They make plays that other people can't make just because of just who they are and how special a team. And I think you see our team just connect with each other and play for each other. I think you see us have fun out there, and our guys are having fun and playing hard and leaving it all on the table. I have not. I don't know. The long plane rides aren't for me. So my wife's asking me the same thing about going to Europe and traveling, and I say no to her. So I don't know if you're going to be able to change my mind if she can't. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really, really great storylines there. I'm really, really honored to be a part of one of, the first two African American quarterbacks playing against each other, which I think is really special. And what else is special about that is it's the best two players at that position. Jalen did it the best in the NFC, and Patrick Mahomes did it the best in the AFC, and they're representing their teams in the Super Bowl, which is obviously very special. I know how close I am with my brothers. I look up to my brothers. They're older than me, and I look up to them in every way. So when I play a game of bocce ball against them, it gets pretty heated, and I want to beat them as bad as they want to beat me. So, because you grow up doing those things with each other, whether it's ping pong, whether it's bocce ball, whether it's pool, whatever, basketball, shooting, a game of pig, you want to beat your brother, right? And that's a huge thing. And so I think that's pretty. I know how special it would be if I coached against my brother. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to play the Washington Jefferson Presidents anytime soon. But I know how cool that would be if that was the case. So I'm happy that they get to do that at the highest level. And I know how good they're. Those are two players that are the best at their position in the NFL. And the third part of that was. Obviously, just honored to go against Coach Reid and have so much respect for him of what he's done in his NFL career. And the guys still talk about him in our building with the Eagles, right? And I know Howie Roseman. I'll ask him at times, how Coach Reid handled this scenario, because I'm really intrigued by how great coaches, operate, and he's a great coach. So I'm honored to be. Being able to coach it, coach in the Super Bowl against Coach Reid.
How do you manage that deal with telling the guys to enjoy this week versus managing a time away from the field?
Treat it like every other week, right? And it's. I know there's distractions. I mean, listen, we don't do this every week, right? What's tonight? Monday. Usually Monday, I'm in a film room till all hours of the night. So. We understand there's distractions, but stick to your routine. We obviously got work in last week, but stick to your routine as much as you possibly can. Listen, this isn't new in the NFL. There's things that you have to ride the waves of the season. You try not to ride the waves of the season, but there's ups and downs in the season, all right? So it's the same thing you tell a guy if he's going to his hometown to play or going back to play against his former team, or there's always going to be a subplot, or there's always going to be something like that. The most important thing is that we stick to the process that got us here and go through the steps that got us here, win each day, so we have to put ourselves in a position to win the game. It depends on which one of them you ask. You got to treat them all a little bit differently, but I got a great group of kids, and they needed to be a little bit reined in right there. Taylor I was good. She was stealing the show, and that was okay. But she was distracting me a little bit. That's why I had to tell her to stop and look forward. I don't know if she listened to me all that much though.
As a head coach, is it any different coaching players on the team that are dads versus players that are not dads?
You coach everybody a little bit differently. I mean, it's everybody. It's just like your kids, right? Not everyone's going to handle things the same way. You know, some guys need praise, some guys need corrected, some guys that's why it's so important to connect with every single one of your guys so you know what buttons to push, because at the end of the day, the only goal is for us as coaches to serve them and help them get better as a football player. Shoot, a lot of things I would say are the things that, you know, my dad taught me, and great coaches taught me. It's, you know, one thing I always want them to understand, I guess, is that when you work hard, you can accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you can reach your ceiling. You never know what your ceiling. Everyone's ceiling's different, but you really like something, you work hard at it, and hopefully you can accomplish your dreams. Thank you. Hey, Rob. No, I understand. I understand when I signed up for this job that there's going to be criticism, and that's okay. I love to coach football, and sometimes it's you're going to get criticized, and sometimes you're going to get praised more than you should too, and you're going to get criticized more than you should, or you get praised more. But we understand signing up for that. All I really care about is to help the guys, put the guys in position to help them succeed, and just be the best head coach I can be. And I try not to hold on to that. I don't think that always is a healthy thing. It's okay to help it motivate you, you know, to make sure things like that might not happen again, or because, you know, I have that through all my life. You want to have things that help motivate you, but not to a point where it hinders you, right? Just let it motivate you. But, you know, I don't really think about that too much. Yeah, it's in that order for a reason, right? Faith, family, football. You know, I think about my journey as a coach, and I think, you know, people have asked me, you know, about, you know, being let go in Kansas City, like how that hurt and everything like that. But, you know, it led me on a path that I didn't much like it, right? But it led me on a path that led me to here, and so, you know, it just, God's always done that for me, and you know, put me in the positions I need to be in. Maybe sometimes I don't want to be in, but the positions I need to be in. And you don't always see that when you're going through the trial, right? And you may not always see it when you get out of the trial. But and I just talking about this particular case, you know, not staying in Kansas City and moving on in my career, and it was what I needed to go through. And so I'm obviously grateful for that. And faith is number one for a reason. I'm very grateful to God for everything that I have. And then it's family, and then it's football, and then it is in that order. And my dad's always been very good to me about saying balance. In this profession, right, it's easy to get sucked into, I got to do another thing, and you do. You got to do everything you can do to help you win the football game. But when it's time to be a dad, it's time to be a dad, and when it's time to, you know, there's always time to pray, and there's always time to be grateful. Thanks. We'll always talk about winning the turnover battle. You know, we've done a good job of that to this point, all the way through the season. A couple of the games that we lost the turnover battle. I think we turned the ball over 4 times against Washington. But no matter what the level of football, you win the turnover battle, it's going to help you win the game. So just be fundamentally sound in that, taking the ball away and also protecting the football. So it was the soccer and baseball. Yeah. You know, we're going to do our best to go out there and play a really good football team. And we know we're a really good football team, should be a really good game. And hopefully we'll be able to make it third time's a charm. Scouting report on Kelsey brothers. Yeah, shoot, really darn good. you know, you know, shoot, what don't they do? Jason Kelsey for us, and all I see is what Travis does on the field, but I know how important he is as, to that football team, both on and off the field. But all I can comment on is him on the field and how many plays that Travis makes for Jason. He's one of our biggest leaders, one of the smartest football players I've been around, and you combine that with the amount of talent that he has, it's special, and that's what makes him the player that he is. Hey, good to see you. How are you? Thank you. I've said this many times that I have 3 really great mentors. I got a lot of different mentors, and I don't want to leave people out, but the guys that I feel like have shaped my career is my dad, growing up as a coach. Growing up with a dad who's a coach. My dad, Larry Karras at Mount Union, and Frank Wright. Frank was just being in Indianapolis. Now, being with Frank, I was also with Frank in San Diego. That's why I went to Indianapolis with him. But the amount of things I learned from Frank on just so many different areas of life and football. It's not just football. He's been a great mentor to me, and so every step of your journey, you take something from it, and multiple things from it. And sometimes you take things that aren't good, and sometimes you take things that are good, and you try to mold what you believe is important for you as you run a football team. And so many of the things that Frank taught me and that our times in Indianapolis, I use a lot today. Thanks. Yeah. I've said this a couple times that it was my first stint in the NFL at Kansas City. So obviously, learning the game of football in the NFL level, I learned a lot of good football from a lot of different people, from Todd Haley, from Charlie Weiss, from Romeo Cornell. Again, a lot of different opportunities to learn from a lot of different guys, a lot of football. And so obviously when you're around great coaches like that, you take your coaching expertise to another level. Brian Dable and I were together in Kansas City. Brian was the coordinator, the offensive coordinator, and I was the wide receiver coach. And we didn't have a very good year. We were 2-14. That's why I didn't stay in Kansas City very long. But the amount of football I learned from Brian Dable too was a lot. So, and then personal level, I met my wife in Kansas City. And now obviously I have her that's made this journey with me throughout everything, and we have 3 beautiful kids, and I guess I wouldn't have all those things if I didn't have that time in Kansas City. So a lot of great memories, both professionally and personally, and personally is definitely better because that's where I met my wife. I've always been motivated to be the best I could be, what I learned from Coach Reed just in that little bit amount of time was, that he didn't have to spend time with me to say that I'm not going to work there anymore. But he was, I'm down, in the sense that I don't have a job in there anymore. But, he did his best to pick me up in that moment. And I think that's what good coaches do, and I think that's what good people do. So I just learned that, and that kind of, he taught me a hard part of the job of, that he had to bring the coaches in and let them go that weren't going to be working there anymore. And I had to do something similar to that, when I got to Philadelphia. And so even though I never worked for him, I did learn, a tough part of the job from him in the way he treated us when he had to let us go, to give us strength when we were down. And I admire that about him. I'm sorry, say that one more time. Who said this? Oh, okay. If Coach Torts said I did that, I must have. I don't quite recall that. but learned a lot of football there from a lot of good coaches. Jim Smith, Mike Campolo, Paul Tortorella, who are all still there, and it's no surprise that they're still having success that they're having because I learned a lot of football from them. They have this great tradition there at IUP, very similar. I felt like their head coach that they played for, Signetti, Frank Signetti Sr., they looked up to him like we looked up to Larry Karras. And I always admired that about, that they kind of went through the same process as a college coach and college player as we did at Mount Union. And then Lou Tepper was there, DK McDonald, who's our assistant DB coach, was there with us. And then Tyler Scudder, who's our defensive assistant, was there with us. And Scott Kanicki was a graduate assistant there at the time, who's my assistant here. So not only did we have some success, not only did I learn some football, but I got 3 really good coaches on our staff with the Eagles from IUP days. I have no idea. My birthday's June 15th. You tell me. Sure. Yes. Yeah, that sounds like me. But I think actually, now that I think about it, I think I'm a Gemini.
Okay, Gemini. Ambitious plans for your future could necessitate you giving a lot of attention to track.
There you go. Does that sound? I don't know. Is that what do you think? Sure. Yeah, he's played a lot of good football, and so you want that experience that he has, and he's given us some good minutes, some good time. He got to start 2 games this year. Played really well in the Dallas game, really well, and going back to last year, he played really well in our Jets game to help us get that win. But again, it's never about just one position. But he's played well when he's gotten an opportunity to play, and that's no surprise to us because he played well as the starting quarterback for Jacksonville. That's why we wanted him to be here with us because we know how valuable he can be. Yeah, I'm honored to be a part of the game with 2 black quarterbacks. It really is it's never happened before, and it's just I'm really excited for both quarterbacks that what they can represent to a ton of kids playing football. Not only are they 2 African American quarterbacks, but they also are the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL this year. They both played first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro. They both played at the highest level they can. It's pretty cool that they're playing against each other at the biggest stage, and then on top of that, with the first time it ever happening. I'm sorry? Song of choice? I can sing anything, I think, but I'm not going to try in front of everybody. That's more of something that I just do on my own. Shoot. Maybe Rise Up. Who sings that? Who sings that? Yeah. Maybe a Whitney Houston song. Yeah. That's actually a good song. Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, I would probably been a teacher. My wife was a teacher in Kansas City when I met her. She doesn't teach anymore. My brother's a teacher. His wife's a teacher. My other brother's a college football coach. His wife's a teacher. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a teacher. So I guess I had to be a teacher, even if I didn't want to. Yeah, there you go.
Just as a fan, who are your top 5 quarterbacks of all time? Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, Jalen. Top 5 quarterbacks. All right, I guess I'll go to the guys that when I was a fan of who I watched and who I rooted for. I know there's a picture of me and one of my really good friends growing up, I'm wearing a Dan Marino jersey. Jim Kelly grew up in Jamestown, New York, which isn't too far from Buffalo. Let's see here. I always liked Cordell Stewart because did grow up a Steelers fan. I always liked Cordell Stewart. Let's see here. Jay Sirianni, my brother for the Southwestern Trojans. He was a really good quarterback. And another guy that was a really good quarterback at Southwestern, Ron Snyder, who played for my dad. There you go.
You love free t-shirts. You always see them at training camp.
Yeah.
Super Bowl t-shirt be the best free t-shirt you ever got?
The Super Bowl T-shirt? Yeah, that'd be a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I got a couple in my room, so yeah, that's a good T-shirt.
Jalen Hurts Run Stew shirt. Pretty big.
What is it?
The Run Stew shirt with the big one.
Oh, that was you? Awesome. Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Lot of sales.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. You keep sending them to me. All right. Yeah. It's said that good quarterbacks make good receivers and vice versa, and that's the truth, right? Jalen's got some great players around him to be able to distribute the ball. What's hard is to be able to take away AJ. They have to, if they want to try to take away AJ, then they leave Devontae one-on-one or Dallas one-on-one and vice versa. So, it's always nice when you have a one-on-one to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take this matchup out there, and AJ and Devontae can definitely do that. And so AJ's meant a lot to this offense. Yeah, shoot. When they're playing at that level, not only at the level that they're playing at on the field, but also the people that they are and the leaders that they are and the work ethic that they have. Reddick had 16 sacks. AJ had 1,500 yards. James was a force all year. So, yeah, it was big to get those guys, and it really helped. Obviously turn this team into from a 9-8 team to a 14-3 team. Jack is somebody that's always ready to go, and that's not easy because he's not getting all the reps at practice, right, or at walkthrough, but he's got to be ready to go. So what I would say is he's ready no matter how many times he got in during practice. And that's pretty special, and that's what backup players have to do. He can step in at right tackle, right guard, or left tackle, and so that's what you want out of a backup offensive lineman, and he plays at a very high level. And we've won a lot of big games with Jack, playing. And so not only does he give you that depth, because unfortunately in the NFL there's bumps and bruises along the way where you lose guys, but he plays at a high level when he gets in. And so credit to him that he's always ready to go, and the type of person, he's a great person too. And credit to Coach Stout to have him ready to go. A credit to the guy that he plays next to, and they don't miss a beat because of the communication they have. If he had to step in for Lane and plays next to Isaac, the communication that him and Isaac have, and vice versa. If he had to step in for Isaac, the communication he would have with Lane. And that's not easy, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Yeah, about every play he makes. He's obviously very special. Special football player, special playmaker. He does things that you watch and you just kind of shake your head because of how special he is. And so we're gonna have to be on it and have everything we got to contain him because we know how good of a football player he is. He's one of the best players in the planet for a reason. Doesn't surprise me one bit. We know how good Tyreek Hill is as a football player. We know how good Patrick Mahomes is as a football player. They've both had phenomenal years this year, and I think it speaks highly to both of them of how good of years they've had without each other. So credit to the other receivers that stepped up for the Chiefs and the quarterback for the Dolphins with Tua. Yeah, Chris Jones is one of the best football players in this league. One of the best players that we go against some good. We've won against some really good defensive linemen this year, and that really starts in our division with the Giants with Dexter Lawrence and with the guys at Washington with Allen and Payne. We playing in and then also with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So we know in this division, the NFC East, we play against a lot of good players, and this guy's just right up there with them, if not better than almost everybody in the NFL, because he plays at a very high level. So we got a lot of respect for him. You got to know where he is on each and every play, and you got to account for him on every play, because he can make plays and he can wreck games. And so, but we're good at those positions too, and so it'll be a good battle. A lot of respect for Chris Jones as a football player. I think he went to Mississippi State and so did Simmons, who, being in the AFC South, I thought he was awesome. Fletcher Cox going to Mississippi State, they had some really good defensive linemen that have come out of there. So much respect to the recruiting coordinators and the head coaches at Mississippi State at that defensive line. Yeah, when the first couple things you're looking at as an offensive coach, when you look at a defense, you always look at the defensive ends, you look at the corners, and then you look at the defensive tackles, because those are the guys that can everybody can impact the game, but those guys it really starts with those three positions, and so you're always looking at those guys. Unfortunately, we got to play against a bunch of good guys like that. But like I said, I got a lot of faith in our guys and how good of football players that we have too. Hey, Justin. Hi. Good. How about you? I felt like I just had great parents that raised me. The no fear, that's definitely, I have a dad that went through cancer 2 times when I was growing up. One time when I was about 4 years old, one time when I was about 8, and it came back on him, and that's how he was. I never knew that. I kind of never really knew what was nothing ever really bothered him. He was able to fight through everything, and so that's a different type of mental toughness that I was raised with from my dad. That he's had to go through a lot of crap in his life, and I can't wait for him to be here, but he just, he puts his head down and fights and keeps going to the next day. And so I think a lot of that's going to come from him. A lot of it's going to come from me getting the crap kicked out of me by my 2 older brothers, playing basketball with them, playing football with them, tackle football in the living room with them, having boxing matches with them with the couch pillows, hitting each other with those. So, my family. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. Hey, John. The standard is the standard. I think that's. I like that one. I like that. Rent is due. AJ is a special playmaker, and I remember when Howie first. I remember when Howie first talked to me about the opportunity to be able to do that. And being in the AFC South as the offensive coordinator with the Colts, I had seen him run up and down Lucas Oil Field, giving us problems, and also at Nissan Field giving us problems. And when I look at wide receivers, the thing that I always want to know is, do they have quickness and do they have play strength? And so I already knew that answer there, but then, because of seeing them play live and just being a fan of wide receivers in general and studying them all the time since I played wide receiver. But when Howie and I went and put the tape on, it didn't take me too many plays to just confirm what I already knew. And so when you can get a playmaker like that, we had 2 first-round picks, and we were able to get – use one of them for a guy that you weren't taking a chance on, right? There's always a risk in the draft, right? You look at any draft, not every guy hits, right? And so we knew he hit because he had already hit. And, man, he's had it advertised. To be able to coach him every day, again, secret to good coaching, get good players. And AJ's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal person. He works really hard to be the player he is. And I'm thrilled that he's on this team, and one of the big reasons why we're in this game this weekend. Thanks.